Yeah, so just a little bit of our rail yard here, right under the Quaboag Bridge in Westfield. This is along our CSX interchange, so right on the other side of that bridge is CSX's main line. You can see here, and rather loudly you can hear it, is the transloading process, so taking plastic resin, putting that directly into a truck. In this spot here, we can take a multitude of cars. This is where we get all of our cars each day. We get service 5 days a week from CSX. Of course, because we're down here taking pictures right now, we don't actually have the train operating, but I'm sure once we get in the car, it'll be here and give you something nicer to look at.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jeremy Levine. I'm the Business Development Coordinator at Pioneer Valley Railroad and Railroad Distribution Services in Westfield. Our company is a short line railroad. We operate between Westfield and then up north into Holyoke. We have a dual interchange with the two Class 1s here in the Northeast. And we own and operate our two reload distribution centers that handle commodities and trucking for companies that don't have access to rail service directly to their building. Indirectly or directly, the businesses that we support through our services here makes us certainly a really important organization and a really important industry for not just the local economy, but the state and the region. Our company's been around since 1938. Pioneer Valley Railroad has been in Westfield since 1982. 1986, we opened the first of our two warehouses and then a second one in the 1990s. Essentially what we do is we receive freight at both ends of our line from the CSX and then from the Pan Am Southern. And what we're doing is we're taking those rail cars and bringing them to either customers who have siding in buildings directly on our rail line, or for those who don't, bringing it to our warehouses where we then drop off that material, unload it through our warehouses, and then stage and store and put that outbound onto trucks that go to customers all throughout New England. We're doing our part to try to get some more customers in the area, some business outreach. Obviously, the areas that the Quaboag Hills Chamber represents, or excuse me, that they cover, there's a lot of railroads in those areas. There's a lot of people who have rail access. What we want to do is make our services well known, because we think we differ from some of our competitors who might even be in some of these towns. And we provide a pretty solid alternative for the people in the business communities in these areas. My first train crew comes on at 3 a.m. What they're doing is they're sorting cars in the yard. So every night between 1 and 2 a.m. we get a whole cut of cars dropped off from a Class 1 railroad. Sometimes that can be 10, 15 cars. Sometimes it can be 50, 60 cars. What they're doing is they're sorting those cars and turning those into smaller trains. And then they're driving those smaller trains up to customer siding or to our warehouses. My warehousing crew starts at 3:30. And they're unloading these cars, pulling things out of them, staging, storing, doing the proper paperwork, taking pictures, and then they're putting those on trucks all day. So we operate, my first train crew comes on at 3. My last warehouse guy leaves at 4 p.m. There's something really unique about seeing very large, multi-ton steel cables, steel coils, plates, lumber, granite, paperboard, all these different commodities that don't exactly look really cool until you understand kind of the story behind them. I think it's so unique that these multi-ton paper rolls, which are right outside my door, can come up from Tennessee and Alabama and Georgia every day. And then we get to pull those, stage, store, put those outbound onto trucks, and see what they go into in the commodities that we use every day, in our home lives.
So what you got back here is we've got 3 loading doors, so we can fit 6 rail cars back here on the siding. Our main line goes right parallel to this building. So what my team is doing is putting down dock plates and using the various different forklifts that we have in this facility driving into rail cars, picking out material. So here you see pulpboard paper. These are multi-ton things that become boxes of various sorts, cardboard boxes. In the back here, we've got palletized material. So we've got bird seed, fertilizer, lime, and then in the back, which you can't see just because we're not going to be able to go out on the floors, I have another whole component that's just for steel, and that's for a customer that doesn't use the rail at all. They truck in and just truck out. They use this like normal warehouses are used just for storage. This facility here is about 100,000 square feet. We've got a special food grade designation. These paper rolls you see here, part of what they become is packaging paper. You might unroll your Dunkin' Donuts sandwich in, breakfast sandwich in. So we've got a special designation as well for our cleanliness.
So we have obviously the railroad, Pioneer Valley Railroad, part of that name. But for those who might not be aware, again, going back to those 2 reload distribution centers that we run, we're right off I-90. So I've got about 200,000 square feet and 4.5 acres outdoors. And what we're doing is transloading, which is essentially pulling things out of rail cars and then either putting them into the warehouse or storing them outside. And then we run a truck brokerage as well. So I've got a multitude of carriers in our system. What we can do is whether you need flatbeds or van trailers, all that good stuff, we can get it to you at a very competitive price in 24 hours notice. We're a 20-mile long short line railroad, so we operate, we actually start right under the Quaboag Bridge in Westfield, and then we go north into Holyoke, which is where our line terminates and where we interchange with the Pan Am Southern through Norfolk Southern. But we have 2 different branch lines, but again, our reach is everywhere. We send trucks out on a day-to-day basis within 500 miles, and again, with 24 hours notice, we can accomplish all of that. I think a really important thing to understand is how we differ again from some of our competitors who might even have track towards some of the businesses that you represent, is that we own and operate our reload distribution center. So that's important because I liken it to calling Comcast, right? You call a larger railroad and you say, I need my cars, or where are my cars, or when am I going to get my cars? Sometimes like calling Comcast, you're not going to get an answer quickly, or you might not get an answer at all. The benefit of working with a smaller company like us who owns the railroad and the reload distribution centers is that you can call me, and what I'm going to do is get in touch with my guys in the locomotives, the engineers actually driving the trains, and I'm going to be able to get you an up-to-the-minute update as to where those cars are. Then we're dropping it off at our own warehouses that I can then redirect my team to get those things unloaded and shipped outbound as quick as possible. So we're a top-to-bottom solution. We're vertically integrated. We've got the railroad, we've got the reload, and then we've got the trucking as well. So it's something that we can do a lot more efficiently than a lot of other companies, and hopefully that's going to save people from many of the headaches that they can experience elsewhere.
This is the other one of those warehouses that we own and operate. It's only a half a mile from the other one we were just at. So right here, right behind this mound over here, you can see the rail cars. That's again part of our main line. So what we're doing at this facility is this is where we do some of the larger outdoor things. So you see granite here. This becomes curbing all throughout the state of Massachusetts and some of the areas in New England. These cars come up here every day. We're out here 5 days a week unloading multiple cars at a time.
And this is a facility that you share with Savage Arms?
Correct, yes. We have a lease with Savage Arms, so we have a certain number of feet indoors here, but the majority of the operation is outdoors here. So we've got 4.5 acres that we lease. Do the larger materials here. So lumber, granite, steel coils, steel plates. We also do palletized material here as well. We have access to cranes, to larger forklifts, which you see here are about 40,000 pound capacity forklifts. And I think what would be the most intriguing to some of the members in the chamber as well is the laydown yard that we have back here. We added this track in the back recently, allow us another spur to service customers. This is where we do all of our steel and lumber. And behind that is a number of acres that we can put for laid out yards. So if you've got crane mats or you've got heavier things that can be left outside, it doesn't even need to come off of the rail. We have the ability to store for you here in addition to our